Now in SQL Server, variables allow you to store data temporarily during the execution of the script, and they can be very useful for storing intermediate results, controlling the flow of execution, and and just parameterizing dynamic SQL statements amongst other uses as well. So they are defined using declare statement, and it can be assigned um, values using set or select statement. So the basic syntax is fairly easy. I'm just going to add a new query here. Let me just close this. So the syntax is fairly easy. So on the syntax, we have add declare, right? Add variable name, that is the name of the variable. So variable names must begin with the add symbol in SQL Server, and then followed by the data type of that variable. So that is the data type of the variable. So it can be an integer, or it can be a varying characters, can be date time as well. And then we have the initial value. So that the initial value is optional. So it's an optional initial value that can be assigned to the variable. Now, let's say we want a let's have an example where we want to store a single value. So we can declare, let's say, at employee. So I just want to fix my microphone there. At employee count. So that's the name of the variable at employee count, and then it will have a data type of an integer. And then we set now at employee count, and then we will actually set select count all from employees. Then we will select at employee count as total, say total employees. So in this example, what we're doing, we declare an integer variable at employee count, and then we assign it to the total number of employees from the employees table. And then we select the value of the variable. Sorry, here it must. I just want to see here. So we declare, and then we say, sorry, here it must be a closure, not a comma. And then if we go ahead and execute, then we can get the total count of the employees that we've got 14 employees. And then all of this statement is actually stored on a variable. So we can also use a variable in the conditional logic. Let's say we want to get the maximum salary, and then we will actually, we can have, let's just comment this one out. We can have something like, we can say declare at max salary, and then this is a type of an int. Then we set at max salary, we select max salary from employees. And then we're going to have if at max salary is greater than 100,000. 100,000. Then we will print something. Print some employees have a very high salary. Something like that. Or else then we will just print all employees have reasonable salaries. And let's actually close this. Here I'm missing a closure. You can just fix that. So if we execute, then we get a message that some employees have very high salary because probably someone who's earning more than a. Okay, I meant to say 100,000, not 10,000. Okay, anyway. So no one, so it says all employees have reasonable salary because no one is earning more than 100,000. So we've used a variable. So the maximum salary is stored in the variable, and we have a conditional logic that we use to actually print a message based on the value of the maximum salary. Sometimes we can also use variables. Let's say we want to concatenate strings. Okay, so can I just click on a new query here? So we can declare at greeting okay, and then we can set at greeting hello, then we concatenate with select a first name from first name from employees where employee ID is 1, and then we can just print at greeting, and then we get hello John. All right, so this concatenates a greeting with the first name of the employees whose ID is 1, storing the result in the greeting table. Another example, we can actually loop through records with a cursor as well. So, but this is more of advanced thing that we can do. So we can declare at employee name and then we declare select best name, and then from employees, and then we open let me just copy and paste. We can just comment this one out. Just gonna make it a little bit smaller so that I can have more space to type. Open cursor and we fetch next two, employee name. And then end, and then we close cursor, and then we deallocate. So what's happening here is that we've used the SQL Server to iterate over a set of data that is retrieved from the database. All right. So cursors in SQL are used to process each row that is returned by the query individually, rather than performing, a set-based operation and on all the row at once. So this is useful for row by row processing. So, but in general, it's slower than the set-based operations, and it should be used. So you should be careful when you use that. Now, let's break down the code a little bit so that we understand what's going on. So we declare a variable employee name. So this will be used, this is used to store the first name of each employee that is fetched from the cursor. And then the second line, we declare employee cursor for select first name from employee. So this creates a cursor named employee cursor that will contain the result set that is produced by the select first name from employees query. So this result includes the first names of all the employees from the employees table. All right, and then the next line is open employee cursor. It opens the cursor, making it ready to fetch the rows, and then we fetch next from the employee's cursor into employee name. So this fetches the next row from the cursor, starting with the first row when called for the first time. So, and it assigns the value of the first name from that row into the employee name variable. Now, and then the next thing is just to loop through using the while loop. All right, so this is just to loop through. So a looping, after fetching each row, this block here, it checks the at fetch status system function. So that is a built-in function. It's a system function to determine if the fetch was successful. All right. So if it returns 0, if the fetch was successful, if it returns 0, that means that it was successful. So inside the loop, it also prints the employee's first name stored at the at employee name variable, and then it fetches the next row. So this loop continues until there's no more rows to fetch, until the fetch status returns a value other than 0. Okay, so and then the last line is just to close and deallocating the cursor. So finally the cursor is closed with close, which releases the current result set, and then it deallocates with deallocate, which removes the cursor from the cursor definition and frees up the resources it was using, meaning the computer resources, the RAM, the drive space, all those resources. So just in a nutshell, cursors can be useful for certain tasks that require row by row processing, but they can be less efficient than a set-based operation for handling large data set. So therefore, it's important to consider whether a cursor is the best solution for a given problem, or is if a set-based approach could achieve the same result more efficiently. All right. Now that I've explained this code, so basically this is just an advanced example that uses a cursor loop to loop through all the records in the employees table, storing each first name in the variable and printing it. Now, variables in SQL Server are like sticky notes. You can think of them as like sticky notes or notepads that is used to jot down important pieces of information temporarily as you work through a larger task. Just as you might write down maybe a measurement or a reminder on a sticky note that you can use later. So you can store data in variables during an SQL script just to help you manage and use that data as you proceed through the complex data manipulation or a logic operations as well. If we can go ahead and execute this, and then we can actually see that we looped through and then we printed all the names of the employees, all the first names of employees.